Right, so we're diving deep into Nietzsche today, specifically, his idea of self-overcoming. And we're going to pull from all those texts you sent us to get to the heart of it. Ever feel like you're, weighed down with, like, invisible burdens, kind of like Nietzsche's camel? Well, get ready to unleash that inner lion and maybe even discover that playful child within.
It really is fascinating how Nietzsche doesn't present self-overcoming as like this end goal. It's more about constantly pushing your own boundaries, like a constant process. He saw this huge potential for growth in all of us, but it's definitely, it's a journey.
Not a quick fix, right?
Exactly.
And that journey starts with, like, questioning everything, even values we think are just set in stone. Nietzsche wasn't about blindly following the crowd.
Absolutely. He really believed that, conforming to those external values, whether it's family, society, even religion, it can really stifle your individuality. It's almost like, I don't know, wearing a suit that's way too small,
Yeah.
super uncomfortable, restricting,
Yeah, I get that.
especially for someone raised in a super restrictive environment, like our source mentioned. Questioning those deep-seated beliefs, that becomes like a crucial part of self-overcoming.
So then how do we break free
Yeah.
and start creating our own values? That's where the whole will to power thing comes in, right?
Yeah.
But it's not about, like, bossing people around like some people think.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. For Nietzsche, will to power is all about mastering yourself, that inner drive that pushes you to, break past limitations and become who you really are. It's the fuel for like self-creation, the energy to shape your own values, shape your life.
Okay, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But this self-creation thing, it's not always comfy, is it? Our source even mentions Nietzsche seeing comfort as a roadblock to growth.
He did. Nietzsche believed that seeking comfort can actually make us like stagnant, real transformation. It requires embracing discomfort, taking risks, even struggling. Think about a time you stepped outside your comfort zone. Maybe you, I don't know, started a new hobby or finally had that tough conversation you'd been putting off. It might have been hard, but I bet you learned something important about yourself.
Totally.
Right.
Makes me think of how Nietzsche talks about the camel, lion, and child in Thus Spoke Zarathustra to, describe this transformation process. It's such a vivid image.
It is.
Yeah.
The camel, loaded down with expectations and duty, it represents that starting point, carrying the weight of, all those pre-existing values. Then you've got the lion, roaring, defiant, ready to shake off those burdens and break free. And finally, the child, representing pure creation, playfulness, openness to new experiences.
That childlike state is, it's really intriguing. Seems almost like a paradox, that the peak of self-overcoming is embracing this kind of innocence.
It might seem that way, yeah. But remember, kids are naturally curious, creative, full of wonder. And those are qualities we often lose touch with as adults. But Nietzsche saw them as crucial for a truly fulfilling life. It's about rediscovering that joy and just being alive, approaching the world with fresh eyes, even when things are tough.
So how does this, like, high-level philosophy actually play out in our lives? Our source seems to suggest there are practical ways to apply these concepts.
Exactly. Self-overcoming isn't just some abstract idea. It can show up in your daily life through personal growth, through creative expression, even taking responsibility for your own choices. Think about the projects you're passionate about, the things you'd love to learn, or, that dream you've been putting off. What's one small step you could take today to move towards those aspirations, to embrace a bit of that lion energy?
That's a great question to think about. And I think it shows how Nietzsche's ideas, they're challenging, but they can be really empowering too. It's not about being perfect. It's about constantly striving to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating part of Nietzsche's philosophy, overcoming resentment. Have you ever, caught yourself dwelling on past hurts or feeling like life's been unfair?
Oh, yeah.
Nietzsche saw this resentment as like a poison, something that can really hold us back.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Stuck in that cycle of blame, negativity. It's easy to point fingers or feel like we're victims of circumstance. But Nietzsche seems to be suggesting a different path.
He believed that true self-overcoming involves letting go of those negative feelings and taking responsibility for our own lives. It's about shifting focus from what's holding us back and looking towards what we can create, what we can achieve.
So it's about choosing to focus on, the possibilities rather than dwelling on what could have been.
Exactly. And this ties into one of Nietzsche's most challenging but also liberating concepts, amor fati.
Love of fate. That sounds kind of tough, especially when things aren't going our way. Help me out here.
Imagine embracing every part of your life, the good, the bad, even the ugly, with like radical acceptance. It's
Yeah.
about acknowledging that each experience, the joyful ones, the painful ones, they've all shaped who you are today.
Oh, instead of wishing things were different, it's about finding meaning in all our experiences,
Yeah.
even the tough ones.
Exactly. Amor fati is about saying yes to life, in its entirety,
Yeah.
with all its messiness and contradictions. It's a powerful shift in perspective that can free us from resentment and empower us to move forward with a sense of gratitude.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Hmm.
That's a lot to take in, but definitely feels like something worth exploring more. And speaking of exploring more, maybe we should revisit Nietzsche's camel, lion, and child analogy. You touched on it before, but it's worth really digging into each stage of that transformation. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah. It's such a rich metaphor. And I think unpacking it more will give us like valuable insights into Nietzsche's idea of self-overcoming. So let's start with the camel. Remember, it represents that initial stage where we're carrying all that weight of tradition, of societal expectations, ingrained beliefs. We're dutiful, obedient, but ultimately burdened by external pressures.
It's like we're carrying all this baggage that isn't even ours to begin with.
Exactly.
But then, along comes the lion, right?
Mhm.
That fierce, rebellious spirit that comes out when we start questioning those burdens that have been put upon us.
Exactly. The lion rolls with defiance, demanding freedom and autonomy. It's a crucial step in self-overcoming because it involves breaking free from those external chains that bind us. But the journey doesn't stop there. The final stage, represented by the child, is where true self-overcoming truly comes into its own.
And this is where I get a little lost. It seems counterintuitive that, the culmination of this intense self-overcoming process would lead us to, like, childlike innocence and playfulness.
It might seem paradoxical, yeah. But remember, children are naturally curious, creative, and spontaneous. They approach the world with, a sense of wonder and joy. And Nietzsche believed these qualities were essential for a truly fulfilling and meaningful life.
So the child represents this, like, liberation from the constraints of societal expectations and limiting beliefs.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming that innate sense of wonder and creativity,
Yeah.
something we often lose touch with as we get older, as we get socialized into a world that often values conformity and obedience over individuality and self-expression.
It's about rediscovering the joy of simply being alive.
Yeah.
Embracing the world with that childlike enthusiasm.
That's right. And for Nietzsche, this childlike state wasn't about being naive or irresponsible. It was about approaching life with a sense of openness, courage, and a willingness to create our own values, our own meanings.
So it's about combining that lion's fierce independence with the child's sense of wonder and playfulness.
Precisely. It's about integrating all these parts of ourselves, the dutiful camel, the rebellious lion, the playful child, into a harmonious whole.
It sounds like a lifelong journey of self-discovery and transformation.
It is. And Nietzsche believed this journey, while challenging, was ultimately the most rewarding path we could choose.
So what does all this mean for us, like right here, right now? How can we apply Nietzsche's, radical ideas to our own lives in a practical way?
Well, for starters, we can begin by questioning those inherited values and beliefs that no longer serve us. We can ask ourselves, what truly matters to me? What do I want my life to stand for? And then, have the courage to create a life that aligns with those values, even if it means defying societal expectations or stepping outside our comfort zones.
We can also embrace discomfort and challenge as opportunities to grow. Instead of being afraid of, failure or rejection, we can see them as valuable learning experiences that help us become more resilient, more resourceful.
And perhaps most importantly, we can cultivate that childlike sense of wonder and joy in our everyday lives. Find beauty in simple things, approach new experiences with curiosity, enthusiasm, and allow ourselves to be playful, to be creative.
We can also practice gratitude for all that we have, even in the midst of challenges.
And we can choose to see life's inevitable setbacks and disappointments not as defeats, but as opportunities to grow and transform.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience
Yeah.
with all the joys and sorrows, triumphs and failures, and finding meaning in the journey itself.
Exactly. And that's the essence of Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming. It's about constantly striving to become the best versions of ourselves, not for anyone else's approval, but for the sheer joy of living a life that's true to our own unique potential.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Nietzsche's ideas, what's really resonating with you? What insights or challenges stand out from what we've explored today?
This brings us to a powerful question that Nietzsche posed. If you were to embrace all of your experiences, even the difficult ones, how might that change your perspective on life?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It challenges us to like reframe how we see our past, to see even our struggles as part of, who we are.
It's about understanding that all our experiences, the good ones and the bad, have made us into the unique individuals we are today. And instead of dwelling on what we wish were different, we can choose to embrace our whole story with gratitude, with acceptance.
That almost sounds like a radical act of self-love, embracing not just our strengths and accomplishments, but also our flaws, our mistakes, even our pain.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that all these elements, the light and the shadow, they make up our unique journey. And this journey of self-overcoming, as we've been talking about, it's not about reaching some perfect state. It's an ongoing process, a lifelong exploration of growth and self-discovery.
So it's about constantly pushing our boundaries, challenging those comfort zones, and embracing the uncertainty, the complexity that life throws our way. It's about becoming the authors of our own stories, not just characters in someone else's narrative.
And isn't it fascinating how Nietzsche suggests that the true measure of a life well lived isn't the absence of struggle or hardship. It's the courage, the resilience we show when we face those challenges.
That's a powerful way to look at it. So as we continue this deep dive into Nietzsche's thinking, what other nuggets of wisdom can we uncover from the material you've brought? What else stands out to you?
Well, we talked about the will to power and its connection to, self-creation. But I think it's worth exploring its nuances a bit more, especially in the context of the values you're examining in your own life right now. Would you like to delve into that a little deeper?
Absolutely. I'm really interested in how this will to power can like manifest in different ways, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to shaping our values and the choices we make. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, remember how we talked about will to power not being about dominating others, but about mastering yourself. It's like this internal force that drives us to overcome limitations, to reach our full potential. But it's also closely connected to the values we choose to embrace.
So it's not just about like raw power or ambition,
Yes.
but also about directing that energy towards something meaningful, something that aligns with our values.
Exactly. And the process of self-overcoming, as Nietzsche saw it, it involves constantly evaluating and refining those values. It's about asking ourselves, what do I truly believe in? And how do I want to live my life in accordance with those beliefs?
That really resonates with me. It's like this constant process of self-reflection, of questioning, almost like, I don't know, peeling back the layers of an onion to get to the core of who we are and what we stand for.
That's a great analogy. And as we shed those layers, we can start to see more clearly how our will to power can be directed towards creating a life that's truly authentic, truly
Yeah.
fulfilling. And sometimes that means challenging those pre-existing values, the
Yeah.
ones we've, inherited or absorbed from our surroundings.
Right, like the camel shedding its burdens.
Yeah.
But how do we know which values to challenge, which ones to keep? It seems like a tricky balancing act.
It is. And this is where Nietzsche's emphasis on critical thinking comes in. He encourages us to question everything, to not just blindly accept what we've been told or what society dictates. It's about examining those inherited values and asking ourselves, do these truly resonate with me? Or are they holding me back from becoming who I want to be?
So it's not about like rejecting everything outright.
Yeah.
It's about being more conscious, more deliberate about the values we choose to embrace.
Precisely. It's about taking ownership of our belief systems and creating a life that's in alignment with our deepest selves. And that's where the lion comes in, right? That rebellious spirit that dares to question, to challenge the status quo.
It's like that spark of defiance that
Yeah.
that ignites within us when we realize that some of those inherited values aren't serving us anymore.
Exactly. And that lion energy is essential for breaking free from those constraints and creating space for new values to emerge, values that are more authentic, more aligned with our true selves.
That makes me think about the concept of resentment that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
How does that tie into this idea of questioning our values
Mm.
and embracing our will to power?
That's a great connection. Remember how we talked about resentment being like a poison, something that can hold us back? Well, Nietzsche believed that a lot of that resentment comes from clinging to values or beliefs that no longer serve us. It's like we're holding on to something that's weighing us down, preventing us from moving forward.
So by questioning those outdated values and embracing our will to power to create new ones, we can start to let go of that resentment
Yeah.
and move towards a more empowering perspective.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from what's holding us back to what we can create
Mm.
and recognizing that we have the power to choose our own values, to shape our own destinies.
That's incredibly empowering, and it ties into the concept of amor fati, doesn't it? This idea of loving our fate, even when it throws us curveballs.
Absolutely. Because when we embrace our will to power and take responsibility for creating our own values, we can approach even the most challenging experiences with a sense of agency and purpose.
This is saying, okay, this happened, but I'm not going to let it define me. I'm going to use it as fuel to grow, to learn, to become even stronger.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of amor fati. It's not about passively accepting whatever life throws our way. It's about approaching it all with a sense of radical acceptance, a willingness to find meaning in even the most difficult experiences.
It's about saying yes to the whole journey with all its ups and downs, and recognizing that even the challenges can be catalysts for growth and transformation.
Exactly. And that's where the childlike spirit comes back into play, wouldn't you say? That sense of wonder and curiosity that allows us to approach life with a sense of openness, of playfulness, even amidst the inevitable challenges.
It's like that childlike ability to find joy in simple things, to see the world with fresh eyes, to approach each day with a sense of possibility.
And that's something we can all cultivate, regardless of our age or circumstances. It's about tapping into that inner child and allowing that spirit to guide us as we, navigate the complexities of life.
I love that. So as we delve deeper into the material you've provided, what are some specific examples or insights that resonate with you in relation to this concept of the childlike spirit and its role in self-overcoming?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is Nietzsche's emphasis on creativity and play. He believed that these qualities weren't just, frivolous pursuits. They were essential for a fulfilling life.
So it's not just about being serious and responsible all the time. It's about allowing ourselves to be playful, to experiment, to express ourselves freely.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming that sense of joy, that sense of wonder that we often lose touch with as we get older. And it's about recognizing that creativity isn't limited to artists or musicians. It's a way of approaching life with a sense of openness and possibility.
That reminds me of something you mentioned earlier, the idea of approaching challenges as opportunities for growth. It's like that childlike resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks and see them as learning experiences.
Absolutely. Children are naturally resilient. They fall down, they get hurt, but they get back up and keep going. And there's a valuable lesson in that for all of us. It's about not letting setbacks define us, but using them as fuel to learn and grow.
That's such a powerful message. So as we continue this deep dive, I'm curious to explore how this concept of childlike resilience can show up in our everyday lives. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it starts with shifting our perspective on challenges. Instead of seeing them as, obstacles or failures, we can start to see them as opportunities for growth, for learning.
It's like that famous quote, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." But it's not just about enduring hardship, is it? It's about actually learning from those experiences and using them to become more resilient.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that that challenges are an inevitable part of life. And it's how we respond to them that truly matters.
So it's about cultivating that childlike ability to adapt, to learn, and to keep moving forward, even when things get tough.
Precisely. And that's a key aspect of self-overcoming when you say it's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, including the challenges, and using them as fuel for our own growth, our own transformation.
That's such a powerful insight. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are some key takeaways or action steps that that you think would be helpful for our listener to ponder?
Well, I think it's important to remember that self-overcoming isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's a process of continuous growth, continuous transformation. And it's something that we can all embrace, regardless of where we are in life.
It's about cultivating that will to power to create a life that's truly authentic and meaningful. It's about questioning our values, embracing discomfort, and finding joy in the midst of challenges. And it's about tapping into that childlike spirit of wonder, resilience, and creativity.
And as we wrap up this section, perhaps our listener can reflect on this question. What is one small step you can take today to embrace your own journey of self-overcoming?
It really is a powerful question to think about. It highlights how self-overcoming is it's a personal thing with different steps for each of us.
Exactly. It's not about following some like set formula. It's about finding what clicks with you, what makes sense, and then taking action,
Yeah.
based on those insights. And as you keep exploring these ideas, I'm curious what really stood out to you from the material you sent. Any anecdotes or arguments that really grabbed your attention?
One thing that hit me hard was the discussion of Nietzsche's eternal recurrence. It's a pretty wild concept, but man, it really gets you thinking.
It is that idea that you might have to like relive your entire life exactly as it's been over and over again forever. It's definitely a powerful thought experiment. What was your initial reaction to it?
Honestly, a bit of terror. The thought of reliving some of my less than proud moments. Not exactly appealing, but then, I started thinking about it differently. What if, instead of fearing that repetition, we could, embrace it?
That's exactly the challenge Nietzsche throws at us. If you had to relive every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every failure, would you embrace your life as it is? Or would you be full of regret, wishing you could change things? It forces you to confront the choices you've made, the values you've lived by.
It's almost like a test, right?
Just
To see if you're truly living a life that's in line with your true self. If the thought of eternal recurrence freaks you out, maybe that's a sign that something needs to change.
It's a powerful invitation to look at your values, your priorities, how you're spending your time. Are you making choices that reflect who you truly are? Or are you living a life that's, controlled by outside pressures, expectations?
So it's not just some philosophical thought experiment. It's a practical tool for self-reflection, for personal growth.
Exactly. It's about taking stock of your life and asking yourself, if I had to live this life again and again, would I be okay with it? And if not, what can I change? To create a life I truly embrace, even with all its parts.
It's a tough question, but one that can lead to some deep insights and real positive change. And I think it connects back to that idea of self-overcoming. It's about always striving to be the best version of ourselves, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to live a life that's meaningful, that's fulfilling.
And isn't that what Nietzsche's philosophy is all about? Embracing our freedom, our creativity, our potential to create lives that are truly our own. It's about taking responsibility for our choices and striving to live in a way that we can fully support, even in the face of eternity.
It's a powerful message, and one that I think can speak to all of us, no matter our background, no matter what we believe. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Nietzsche, any final thoughts you'd like to leave our listener with?
I'd encourage you to, keep exploring these concepts, see how they fit with your own experiences. Don't be afraid to challenge Nietzsche's ideas. Agree, disagree. See how they can ignite your own unique journey of self-discovery and growth. Remember, self-overcoming isn't a destination. It's a lifelong adventure. And the path unfolds with every step you take.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little inspiring. Remember, the journey of self-overcoming, it's yours to create. Embrace the challenge, embrace the joy, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep overcoming.